With the recent shift in the US presidential office, the question isn't just about who holds the title. It's about the future of one of the most powerful alliances in modern history, NATO. What does this leadership change mean for NATO's mission, unity, and even survival? Join us as we dive into what this election outcome could mean for the very foundation of global security. The re-election of Donald Trump could mark a pivotal shift in NATO's future and its role in global security, as his stance on defense spending, Ukraine support, and the alliance's purpose presents new challenges for Europe. For years, NATO has functioned as a steadfast alliance with strong backing from the United States. But Trump's re-entrance into the White House in 2024 has created a sense of unease among European leaders. Key NATO members are now preparing for a potential realignment that could redefine their defense strategies and, ultimately, the alliance's very survival. A rethink on defense spending. Trump has consistently pushed for European nations to take on more financial responsibility within NATO, arguing that the US disproportionately funds the alliance. His America First rhetoric suggests that he will continue to pressure NATO members to meet or exceed the 2% GDP target for defense spending. Currently, only 23 out of NATO's 32 members are expected to meet this benchmark in 2024, reflecting an increase from past years but still falling short in Trump's eyes. Countries like Germany and France have ramped up their contributions, with Germany recently reaching the 2% GDP target for the first time since the Cold War. Yet this progress may not be enough to satisfy Trump's demands. Poland, which has nearly doubled its defense budget to over 4% of GDP, could serve as a model for other NATO members under a Trump administration. The burden-sharing debate could deepen rifts within the alliance. While some nations are stepping up, others struggle with budgetary constraints, creating a potential divide between high and low spenders. Trump's influence may push more European nations to accelerate their defense spending, but the financial strain could create discontent and even prompt reconsideration of long-term NATO commitments. Shifts in Ukraine support. Trump's stance on Ukraine remains another concern for NATO allies. His criticism of the substantial military and financial aid provided to Ukraine by the Biden administration has raised questions about the future of NATO's support for the war-torn country. Trump's claim that he could end the conflict without elaborating on how has caused alarm among leaders who see continued support for Ukraine as essential in countering Russian aggression. NATO allies have committed to providing around 40 billion euros in aid to Ukraine this year, with plans to maintain this support through 2025. However, if Trump follows through on his intentions to reduce or eliminate US assistance, it could leave a significant gap in resources. Research from Germany's Kiel University has projected that the total value of aid to Ukraine could fall from 59 billion euros to 34 billion euros if US support is withdrawn. This reduction could weaken Ukraine's ability to resist Russian forces, compromising NATO's broader strategy of containing Russian influence in Eastern Europe. If NATO members are forced to compensate for reduced US contributions, the alliance may face internal tensions over how to share this additional financial burden. Trump's prioritization of American interests over global alliances could also embolden Russian President Vladimir Putin, who has capitalized on US hesitation in the past. Without robust US involvement, NATO's ability to counteract Russian advances may diminish, placing Eastern European members like Estonia and Poland at a heightened risk. The rise of European self-reliance. European leaders, cognizant of Trump's unpredictability, have begun advocating for a more self-reliant European defense system. Italian Prime Minister Meloni has suggested building a European pillar within NATO to enhance regional defense capabilities and lessen dependence on US resources. This concept of strategic autonomy, though still evolving, could represent a fundamental shift in NATO's structure. France has long championed a more independent European defense strategy, and Trump's re-election could hasten the implementation of such plans. However, Europe's ability to forge a cohesive defense policy without extensive US backing remains uncertain. Although Germany and France are expanding their defense spending, most European nations still lack the military infrastructure and financial capability to match the level of support currently provided by the US. A Europe-led NATO could encourage stronger intra-European collaboration, but may risk diluting the transatlantic unity that has long been NATO's core strength. If Europe's strategic autonomy grows, NATO could morph into a TWO pillar system with North American and European branches, each responsible for its regional security. While this approach could satisfy Trump's demands for increased European defense spending, it could also sow seeds of division, undermining NATO's unified stance. The challenge of pragmatism. One of the biggest questions facing NATO under a Trump presidency will be how to pragmatically navigate his foreign policy approach. European leaders, particularly Dutch Prime Minister Mark Rutte, have shown flexibility in dealing with Trump, which may prove vital in preserving NATO's cohesion. Known as Teflon Mark for his political adaptability, Rutte has previously managed to handle Trump's demands effectively, even giving Trump credit for pushing Europe to increase defense spending, despite his limited impact in that area. However, other European leaders may find it more challenging to engage with Trump's unconventional leadership style. Estonian Foreign Affairs Committee Chair Marko Mihkelson has already warned that Europe must be ready to fight for itself, hinting at the possibility of a less reliable transatlantic partnership. As Trump's foreign policy often leans toward protectionism and isolationism, European leaders may need to adopt a pragmatic yet cautious approach to maintain the alliance's stability. The growing influence of China and Russia. Trump's apparent ambivalence toward NATO could also embolden adversarial alliances. The increasingly closer relationship between China and Russia, coupled with the alignment of North Korea and Iran, represents a significant challenge to NATO. If Trump's administration is seen as retreating from NATO commitments, it could create opportunities for China and Russia to expand their influence in regions historically protected by NATO. Moreover, Trump's focus on domestic issues and potential budget cuts could make it difficult for NATO to maintain its readiness to counter threats from these nations. While NATO Secretary General Rutte has emphasized the importance of a united front against challenges like terrorism and strategic competition with China, Trump's reluctance to engage could weaken the alliance's deterrence capabilities. For countries close to Russia, such as Estonia, Latvia, and Lithuania, Trump's disengagement could heighten security concerns. These nations have relied on NATO's collective security guarantee to deter Russian aggression, but with a Trump-led US potentially withdrawing support, their reliance on NATO may come into question. If you found this video insightful, don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe for more, and stay tuned for our next deep dive.